Welcome to Trash Talk MMA.
Smile on my face, behind my back, they talk trash.
The #1 podcast for news and insight that matters in the world of mixed martial arts. Brought to you live and unfiltered from all four corners of the globe by MMA aficionado Antoine Peltier.
Yo, and welcome to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Peltier, and today I have another special guest here in Phuket, Thailand, Mr. Rany Saadeh, BAMMA Flyweight Champion, representing Phuket Top Team. How's it going, Rany?
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Did I get your name right?
It was right, Rany Saadeh.
All right, for everybody out there, Rany Saadeh, double A. Damn, dude, we got lots to talk about. Rany, you're a young buck in this. 21 years old. You're from Berlin, Germany,
right? And
you're already the flyweight champ in a major European promotion, BAMMA. How you feeling about all this right now? You must be on a cloud.
Like, it sounds good to me. Like, sounds good. I like listening to that, you know. But like, people have to realize, not like I'm young and I just got that belt, you know. It took a long path, and I've been doing that for long, so.
Well, then let's get into that, man. What got you into martial arts, and at what age?
I was 5 years old when I started martial arts. My dad put me into some karate because I was always the small child, you know, always the smallest, and my dad was a bit worried that I get bullied, so he put me into karate for self-defense. One of his friends was a karate teacher, so I did that for a few years, and maybe until I was 12. It got a little bit boring to me because I wanted to fight more. I wanted, like, it wasn't real enough for me. So when I was 14, I turned into MMA.
Okay, so from the age of 5 to 12, you did some karate. You wanted to kick up the intensity a notch. How did you get then into MMA at the age of 14? How and where?
Like, I was always a fan of professional wrestling. I liked the show.
I loved it when I was a kid too. Yeah, like most children, we were watching that together, and we just tried to identify ourselves with these superstars, you know, with the wrestlers. And it kind of was the realest looking martial arts to me, kind of like mixed martial arts. But then I discovered real mixed martial arts, and I wanted to get into that, and I started and just fell in love with the sport since the first training session. So, were you born and raised in Berlin? Have you lived there your whole life? Yeah, right. I was born and raised there. Okay, so that's funny. What was the MMA scene, or even the pro wrestling scene in Berlin? You know, there was nothing. Like, I wanted to train professional wrestling. It's quite funny, but they didn't let me train there. So was there anywhere to do that there? Like there's one wrestling school. Okay. Like, I don't know how professional it is, but it's a wrestling school. There was one professional wrestling school, and they told me to better get into, like, start with normal wrestling, amateur wrestling, or do some other martial arts. Okay. Because I was small when I was 14, or even younger. I was walking around 45 kilos, you know, small, slim kid. Yep. But you were only allowed to start professional wrestling when you were 16. So I just found an MMA place. There were a few places where you could train MMA, but there was this one place where they had everything put together, like kickboxing, mixed martial arts, and grappling. And so I started there and just stayed there. So obviously, as you've gotten bigger and better in competition, you've probably had to kick up your training. You're now out at the Phuket Top Team. When did you make that transition? At what phase of your career did you decide that you needed to get out of Germany to get some additional hands-on training here? I was always a type to switch gyms, you know, but for me, it's nothing about unloyalty. It's more about, like, my own progress. I need to, like, develop my game, and somehow it's not like you're in a gym, you're training there, and you just feel like not improving anymore. Not because you're the best, there are still guys beating you, but just because the way of learning doesn't fit to you anymore. Yep. So I was at one school for a few years, like 2 years, then I changed to another where I'm still training, but the training there also changed. It was, before it was more a Jeet Kune Do MMA gym, and now it more changed into an MMA, BJJ and in the gi and no gi gym. So, I'm still like, when I'm in Berlin, I'm training at like 5 or 6 different gyms. I'm going to a wrestling club. I'm meeting some friends, like former national team wrestlers, going wrestle with some guys from Chechnya and Dagestan, Iran. You know, I have a kickboxing club. Sometimes I go there for my Muay Thai.
So what's crazy about this is, I mean, you're obviously, you know, you're young and you've been doing this already from a young age. So you're really part of that new school MMA fighter where you've been training everything since you're a young teenager.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's not like I started training MMA, but now it goes more into direction to like set seasons where I just train BJJ and grappling for a few months, and then maybe with a bit of wrestling, and then when I'm in fight camp, I pick up the stand-up training.
Okay.
You know? But
do you find that you revert back to your karate a lot? Like, do you find that do you prefer being on the feet? Do you prefer striking?
Not at all. Like,
okay.
People always think I'm a striker because I finish my fights with strikes.
Yep.
But it's just, maybe I'm more talented in striking because of the karate background.
Yep.
You know, maybe just in my movement.
Yeah.
Or it is easier for me to pick up the movement.
It's just natural. You know?
Yeah, it's just natural. But I would say my groundwork, you know, my ground game is as good as my striking.
You just haven't had the chance to show it much because you just keep finishing dudes on the feet.
That's right. You know, my fights also go to the ground, but it's like I really like to strike. It's fun. It's fun for me, you know. And to be honest, I'm training grappling and BJJ and wrestling almost every day. Like, especially grappling and BJJ, I'm training that every day. I'm working on that every day. But striking, I've done it a lot. The first few years I started MMA, but now I'm just training striking for my fights. Like, when I'm in fight camp, I'll start training striking again. But it's always, it doesn't take much time to get sharp. Like, maybe just 2 weeks and I'm already sharp. My eye is there. Like, my reaction is there. And the technique, like, it's really easy to pick up combinations and technique and stand up.
Now, one thing I've noticed, you know, we're actually staying in the same hotel, so we've had the chance to, you know, eat together and hang out together and catch up and just discuss all sorts of topics. But one thing I've noticed with you is you have an incredible discipline from, let's say, a lifestyle perspective. That, you know, you don't drink, you don't smoke. I believe you eat paleo. Is that correct?
I'm not eating paleo, but right now to make flyweight, I have to make a strict diet. Of course, I like to eat sweets and sugar. I love sugar and cake, you know, but that's the only treat I give myself. I'm not drinking, not smoking, nothing, you know.
So does that come from a desire to be the best, or are those things you just have no interest in? Where does this discipline, where does it come from, and how does this fit into your game plan?
Like, first of all, I had really good parents. They were awesome role models.
Okay.
When I was a child, they were never drinking in front of me. My dad I've never seen my dad drinking in my whole life.
Okay.
So, they always taught me it's a really bad thing to drink alcohol. Like, right now, I don't think about it that bad, you know, I just think it's not good for me. But, there's always a time, in your youth when you start getting interested into, like,
trying new shit.
Yeah, just trying out that new shit.
Yeah.
And
so I mean, how have you avoided the temptation? I mean, like, it's hard.
For me, there was never a temptation, because like the guys, they met up after school, like my friends or the guys from school, you know, they met up in a park or on a playground, and then someone brought a beer and they started drinking. But I was never there. After school, I went to the gym. I was in the gym working every day. My parents didn't let me out, go celebrate, like go partying. On the weekend, I had to be at home 12 o'clock, and I was never that child who said, no mom, fuck you, I'm going out, I'm climbing out of the window. So there was never a temptation. And like,
this brings me back to what I was saying, though, is it seems like your priority is to be a world-class competitor, and that your lifestyle is a huge part of that, and you're making some really wise choices. I can imagine that for certain coaches, if they get a young guy like you who's been doing karate since he's, 2 apples tall, and he's been involved with MMA since the age of 14, I mean, that's kind of like a dream candidate for somebody walking into a big MMA gym. They know, like, hey, the kid's going to come in, he's going to eat right, he's going to hydrate right, he's going to train his ass off, and at night he's going to, he's going to socialize, but he's not going to do any dumb shit, and he's going to get to bed early and let his body recover.
Yeah, I think I'm an easy fighter to work with. Coaches, sponsors, whatever.
Mildly. Yeah. Excellent. So how'd you get into BAMMA? What were some of the little promotions you fought with before that, and how'd that connection come about?
Well, I did my first 3 fights in Germany and then struggled to find any more fights. So I signed a management in England, signed to a management there, and they also struggled to find me fights. So finally they got me a fight, my first fight when I was 19.
At Flyweight?
It was at Flyweight. It was also my first fight at Flyweight.
Have you done all your fights at Flyweight?
No, the first one's at Bantamweight.
Okay.
But I didn't cut any weight. I was walking around 59 kilos.
Okay.
So my first fight, I didn't walk, I wasn't very heavy flyweight. I wasn't a big flyweight, so I didn't cut much weight.
Yeah.
But in the last 3 years, I was growing so much, so it's honestly, it's hard for me to still make flyweight, but still.
So do you think that you'll eventually outgrow that weight class and move up to bantamweight, or how do you see that playing out?
We will see. I'm not sure yet, but.
But already you feel like you're struggling to make flyweight?
At the moment, I think this weight cut won't be that hard. The last one was hard. This won't be that hard, but I've been dieting since January, started after Christmas. So It's like a 4-month diet for my next fight. It's not easy, Just
Do you consider it dieting, or do you just consider that that's your lifestyle though?
Honestly, I consider it. It's kind of a lifestyle, but people who know me, my friends, they know I love cake and sweets and all that. For me, it's kind of an experience. It's a joy. It's like some people I know after training, they go home, they roll a joint and smoke weed. I got suggested it a lot, because it makes them relax and I can understand them somehow.
Yeah.
But for me, this way doesn't work, I need to, just to clear my mind from all the techniques, because you can over-informate yourself, and even your body sometimes the training is so hard, you have to relax. And for me,
how do you decompress?
I like to just get some guys, just some friends, go out, sit in a nice cafe, drink something, eat some nice cake, or
just be social, but chill.
I love to socialize. I love to go cinema or do something like that. Even small parties. I don't like to be awake to be up that late until the next morning, but sometimes I just do it, go out with friends, dance. Even though I'm not drinking, I can have lots of fun. I think I would go crazy if I drink. People who know me, I can have a lot of fun, and they all say if you would drink, you would be the craziest person on earth. So
okay, so you picked up a management team in England, and they hooked you up with BAMMA. Obviously, that's
I wanted to fight for BAMMA a long time ago. Still, when I was fighting in Germany, it was always a dream of mine to walk out in that arena. BAMMA's really decent show, and that time they said it's maybe a little bit too early because there are no joke fights in BAMMA. There's no easy fights. So maybe I would say maybe
got good dudes in there. I remember watching BAMMA fights. Paul Daly and Tom Watson, and a lot of guys from there have gotten to the UFC. They churn out some top dudes.
I wouldn't say they underestimate me, but they just didn't know me yet at that time. So I got my chance finally.
Okay.
And I went in there, and I wanted just to prove that I belong there.
Your first fight was pretty devastating there. Now, this afternoon I watched some of your highlight reel, and you've got some nasty knees, dude. Where did those come from?
To be honest, I don't know. I discovered them in my debut fight. You can see me in my debut fight when I had my opponent in the clinch. First of all, I love Muay Thai, but I never really trained knees and clinch that much.
Okay.
and I just got into the Thai clinch in my debut fight, and you can see me hesitating, just pulling my leg back and hesitating before throwing a knee, because it's still like kind of hard to throw a punch, or at that time it was hard for me to like throw a strike or a knee into someone's face.
And Bamma's cool with elbows, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just doing that knee, and I knocked my opponent down, and in the end I maybe knocked him down 3 times.
Okay.
And in the end I won this fight by knees and strikes.
Okay.
So I did that in a few more fights, and like almost every fight I'm landing a knee, and it hurts, I guess.
So is that something that you're now really actively working on to really develop that tool even further?
Honestly, not much, but I'm using it, and the more I use it, the harder they get, and the like better they get.
Yep.
More precise, you know, and it's hard to avoid them, I guess. And right now they're pretty good on point. So because I've been training a lot of Muay Thai here, I got a good Muay Thai coach, and he's teaching me all that stuff, and also improving a bit my knees. So.
Well, let's talk about your training out here. You're at Phuket Top Team.
Right.
Who are you using there? Which coaches are you training under?
At the moment I'm working a lot with Eric Uresk.
Okay.
He's the wrestling coach and submission wrestling coach.
Yeah, I had him on the show the other night. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Really cool dude. Great background, great story.
I like him. Like, he shows me some good stuff, especially when it comes down to wrestling.
Okay.
And it's all stuff, like most of the stuff I can really use. So we're working a lot there, and I'm doing some Muay Thai classes too.
Okay.
And
who's the instructor on those?
With different Muay Thai instructors.
Okay.
Like I like to mix it up. I don't like to work just with one coach, you know. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like, again, that's something that's part of how you function, that you like feeding off of different instructions.
Yeah, right. Like, I just, some days I feel like boxing more, like letting my hands more go. So I know I go to Lam Tong. Sometimes I think I want to work more on my elbows, so I go with Dein.
Okay.
It's always like different one. Sometimes I just go to someone I didn't know yet, and we just work together, and maybe he can show me something, you know.
So are you a sponsored fighter for Phuket Top Team?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Okay. So how long have you been fighting for them for?
I just had my last fight for Phuket Top Team. I was here 3 years ago the first time.
Okay.
I was just doing a bit of MMA sparring with the guys at that time, because I had a fight coming up. And I was in Thailand, and I get to know about the fight when I was here in Thailand. I was training Muay Thai at another gym before. And then, after before my last BAMMA fight, I knew that the title fight is coming.
Yeah.
And I knew when I have that title, I have to be world class. So, I already felt confident. But I wanted to like improve more, so I'm even more confident. So right now, like, I've been training with them in total 6 months now. Like, and it's not like 6 months in a block. It's just I was here 3 months, and then I went back, and now I'm here already 2 months almost.
Okay.
So I'm like, the past year, I've been improving a lot, and it gets better and better.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like you're going to be on point for your next fight. So this will be your title defense on April 25th at BAMMA 20.
Right.
Your opponent, Chris Mia? Do you know how to pronounce his name?
Chris Mia, yeah.
Is it Chris Mia?
Chris Mia, yeah.
Chris Mia. What do you know about Chris?
I know he's a BJJ guy, but he knocked his last opponent out.
Okay. I know he's 6-0.
He's 6-0 unbeaten, but like, to be honest, except his last opponent, he didn't really fight anyone special, you know. Like,
so you think that you fought better overall competition than he has up until now?
Definitely.
Okay.
Like, I definitely fought better, like, overall competition, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so you're obviously going to make a focus on your BJJ for this, to be ready for that?
Not at all. I think my like, he's BJJ fighter, but
yeah.
Like, he's an MMA fighter, but maybe more specialized on BJJ because that's his background. But I still think my BJJ is better than his BJJ. So people see me as a striker, and see my weakness in the grappling. So they don't realize that my weakness is even better than his strength.
Sounds like you'd almost like to see this go to the ground so you could show off what you know.
Like in every fight, I always accept the ground game. I appreciate my opponents taking me down, and they all try to take me down. There was no fight where where my opponent didn't try to take me down.
Yep.
Because I think my strikes hurt once they get in there and they get it,
tagged.
They get a jab, just the first jab, I can see in their face it hurts.
Yeah, they're like, that
so
sucked.
they just try to close the distance and take it to the ground. And to be honest, I appreciate it. I feel more comfortable there. You don't get knocked out. I don't feel any danger in getting submitted. I'm focused all the time, and my ground game is quite good. And it also improved a lot in the past. So, he can take me down and I will beat him on the ground, no problem.
Right. So, hopefully you're going to get a successful defense there, right? There's no
Thanks,
hopefully.
yeah.
And the big boys could be coming to town in June. The UFC's got an event scheduled in Berlin for, what date is it in June?
I don't know, somewhere on the end, like 26 or something.
Yeah, I think it's actually 26. Is that the end goal?
Like, the UFC was always my end goal. I always dreamed of fighting in the UFC.
Yep.
But as every fighter, I think, like, a fighter who says he wouldn't want to fight in the UFC lies. Maybe they get paid somewhere else better, but it's just...
Yeah, for the glory, for the recognition.
It's just a dream.
For the history books.
Yeah, it's just a dream. And I'm a very impatient person when it comes to achieving things.
Yep.
Yeah,
in the same way, brother. You want it all, and you want it now.
So,
well, it seems like you're on the right track.
I wanted to get in there when I was 14.
Yeah.
I waited for a call. I've been waiting for a call since I'm 14. So
yeah. Oh,
just get me in there. I'm gonna win my next fight, and I'm the only fighter from active fighter from Berlin at the moment who has the chance to get into the UFC, I guess. And
yeah, I mean, I can imagine that from a PR perspective, I can't see how the UFC wouldn't like to have you involved. I mean, you're 7-1, you're a defending champion.
8-1 soon.
8-1 soon, defending champion in a major, probably BAMMA's pretty much the biggest org in Europe, right? I mean, they're the biggest promotion in Europe.
Yeah.
You're a clean cut kid with a clean record, and I mean, I don't see how they could pass up on getting you in there. I mean, how many flyweights do they got too, right? I mean, that's even a division where we need some new blood in the UFC, right? Because I mean, Demetrius Johnson is just unparalleled there.
Exactly. Some people might think it's too early for me, but they have to realize I've been doing this for so long now. 7 years. I've been fighting I've been fighting karate before, and I've been fighting MMA style, amateur MMA since I'm 14. I turned pro when I was 18. So almost 4 years a pro now.
Yep.
And I really feel like getting to that next level, and I need that competition. I want to make a step up, and I can't wait to smash all the UFC flyweights.
It's a bold statement, dude. That's awesome. Well, listen, man, I hope we get to see you. Well, first of all, I wish you the best of luck in your fight in April, but it seems like you're going into that with a ton of confidence, a lot of momentum, and I'd just be shocked if the UFC didn't come a knocking as long as you win that next fight, man.
Yeah, you have to watch my whole path, you have.
Well, this is your opportunity to tell it, dude. That's what you just did.
you have to see the way I've gone through to come here.
Yeah.
I started early. I've been through a lot of shit in this sports, I had injuries, I had breakdowns, I got back up. I lost. I just don't like to make Hollywood stories about that,
Yep.
I went on my own to England for my first fight. I went there on my own. I was 19. I fought the best guy, the best flyweight in this country. I fought him. I knew he's the best.
Yep.
And I knew there's no way to go past him, or to avoid a fight. I wanted that fight.
Yep.
At that time. I lost. I got heartbroken. We had a 3-round war. It was a good fight. And was a good experience for me.
I mean, I looked at it, you got submitted like late in the third round, right?
It was like 20 seconds before the end.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that because I was like, damn, that must have been heartbreaking. Because even if you lost a decision's better than the submission. And so what happened in the last 20 seconds there?
It was like he had me in this armbar and I just wanted to endure the last 20 seconds. I knew the fight was almost over.
Who was winning the fight at that point?
He was winning the fight. I knew that I'm back on points.
Yeah.
And like he already overextended my arm and I felt it cracking. So I just thought makes no sense to
get brutally injured. Yeah.
But in the end, like, it was a good experience for me and I've learned a lot. Since then, I've been improving so much.
Yeah.
I
think it's good when guys don't even show up in the big leagues with the undefeated record. I mean, that's a crazy pressure. It's like everybody eventually loses. You might as well get it kind of, I think when you get it sort of in the phase that you have, you're 7-1 and soon to be 8-1. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good record.
Yeah, well, I got the experience. Even though I'm still young, I got the experience.
Yeah.
And I just want to prove it. I'm still doing mistakes and I would never go into a gym and like show that much that I have this experience, Of course, if I can help any young fighter, I would help him just like other fighters when I was younger helped me and are still helping me, but I'm still young and I got that hunger and thirst to improve and to learn. I'm going into a gym as a student. I'm working with beginners and BJJ black belts. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's
the whole spectrum.
Everything. So
that's dope, dude.
I think the next, I'm not even in my prime, just physical wise,
21.
Like, imagine.
You look like a baby in front of me, dude. Seriously, you're a total view. You got to see this guy as a baby face, man.
Give me 5 more years.
Yeah. I mean, look what John Jones did. Look at the age that he came in. Because what did he win? I think he won the UFC belt. Was he 22 or 23?
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, that was crazy. He's a big dude, What do they call it? They call it grown man strength, man. When you get in your 25, 26, and you get a whole different setup with your muscles and whatnot there, So you're on the right track, man.
There were many people having doubts in me becoming successful MMA fighter or just getting somewhere big, but
you've done nothing but work towards that, dude. So it's just failure's not an option.
I've no doubt in myself that I can be a UFC champion one day.
I think, honestly, from the little that I've seen and know, I think you have a very, very bright future. Let's put it that way. And it's already a bright present, So where can people follow you on Twitter? You are on social media. Are you pretty active with your fans?
Kind of. Like at the moment, I'm doing a video blog. It's on my Facebook page. Like you can see me training and hanging out with the guys in Thailand.
Yep.
Everything. You can see the experience I make in Thailand. It's just an adventure.
Yep.
And you can follow me on that adventure. So
what's that called? Check
out on Facebook page Rany MMA. Okay. Facebook.com/Rany MMA, or just type in Rany Saadeh MMA fighter.
And it all pops up.
You can follow me on Twitter at Rany MMA and also on Instagram, Rany MMA.
Excellent, brother. Any last words?
No last words. Just watch me. Please watch me. Doing my work on BAMMA 25th of April in Birmingham, Barclaycard Arena.
Yeah, and it's funny because I guess you're walking into enemy territory as the champ.
Like, it's not the first time. Yeah. I've done that before on 5 days notice.
Yeah.
So it's like the pressure's on him. He's unbeaten. He's fighting in front of his friends and family.
It's a good way to frame it.
I don't think it's cool to like get beaten up in front of your fans, friends, and family. So
yeah, no, that never goes across well. Agreed. I mean, you got a very good point that the pressure's on him. Hometown, home crowd, friends and family, undefeated.
Even though I'm the champion,
Yep.
I always go in there as the underdog.
So. All right, dude, you're gonna smoke him. I'm calling it right now. Awesome, guys. This was the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Pelletier, with my guest, MMA fighter BAMMA Flyweight champion and representative of Phuket top team, Mr. Rany Saadeh. It's been a pleasure, brother. Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're out of here, guys. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. Be sure to visit trashtalkmma.com.
Smile on my face, behind my back, and talk trash.
And don't forget to follow Antoine on Twitter at Trash Talk MMA. Let us know you're listening. Use hashtag Trash Talk MMA.
I was 5 years old when I started martial arts. My dad put me into some karate because I was always the small child, always the smallest, and my dad was a bit worried that I get bullied, so he put me into karate for self-defense. One of his friends was a karate teacher, so I did that for a few years, and maybe until I was 12. It got a little bit boring to me because I wanted to fight more. I wanted, it wasn't real enough for me, so when I was 14 I turned into MMA.
Okay, so from the age of 5 to 12, you did some karate. You wanted to kick up the intensity a notch.
Welcome to Trash Talk MMA.
Smile on my face, behind my back, and talk trash.
The #1 podcast for news and insight that matters in the world of mixed martial arts. Brought to you live and unfiltered from all four corners of the globe by MMA aficionado Antoine Peltier.
Yo, and welcome to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Peltier, and today I have another special guest here in Phuket, Thailand, Mr. Rany Saadeh, BAMMA Flyweight champion, representing Phuket top team. How's it going, Rany? So that's funny. What was the MMA scene or even the pro wrestling scene in Berlin?
There was nothing. I wanted to train professional wrestling. It's quite funny, but they didn't let me train there. So
was there anywhere to do that there?
There's one wrestling school.
Okay.
I don't know how professional it is, but
it's a wrestling school.
There was one professional wrestling school, and they told me to better get into start with normal wrestling, amateur wrestling, or do some other martial arts.
Okay.
Because I was small when I was 14. Or even younger, I was walking around 45 kilos.
How did you get then into MMA at the age of 14? How and where?
I was always a fan of professional wrestling. I liked the show.
Okay. I loved it when I was a kid too.
Yeah, most children, we were watching that together, and we just tried to identify ourselves with these superstars, with the wrestlers. And it kind of was the realest looking martial arts to me, kind of like mixed martial arts. But then I discovered real mixed martial arts, and I wanted to get into that, and I started and just fell in love with the sport since the first training session.
So were you born and raised in Berlin? Have you lived there your whole life?
Yeah, right. I was born and raised there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Did I get your name right?
It was right. Rany Saadeh.
All right. For everybody out there, Rany Saadeh, double A. Damn, dude, we got lots to talk about. Rany, you're a young buck in this. 21 years old. You're from Berlin, Germany,
right? And
you're already the flyweight champ in a major European promotion, BAMMA. How you feeling about all this right now? You must be on the cloud.
It sounds good to me. Sounds good. I like listening to that, But people have to realize, not I'm young and I just got that belt, It took a long path, and I've been doing that for long. So,
well, then let's get into that, man. What got you into martial arts, and at what age?